On a quiet September morning in 2002, just after the final whispers of summer faded into the wilderness, 21-year-old Megan Landry walked into the woods near Ely, Minnesota, and was never seen again. Nobody, no bag, no answers. Only the wind whispers through the pines, and questions echo like footsteps on frozen earth. Before we dive in, if you enjoy chilling true stories and unsettling mysteries, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you know when new videos are available. Now, let's get into the story. Ely, Minnesota, a town cradled by boreal forests and glacial lakes, known more for its solitude than its stories. With a population just under 4,000 and the nearest Walmart over an hour away, Ely thrived in its stillness. It was the kind of place where time drifted as slowly as the fog across Bunside Lake. Locals fished, hiked, and trusted one another. That trust was shaken the morning Megan Landry disappeared. Megan Elise Landry was 21, bright-eyed, sharp-witted, and raised just outside Duluth. She'd come to Ely that summer for a seasonal job at a canoe outfitter along Highway 169. Megan left a mark on those who knew her. Soft-spoken but observant, endlessly curious, always sketching in her tattered leather-bound journal. She was the youngest of three, with quiet resilience shaped by a difficult adolescence. Her father passed away when she was 12, and her mother, though loving, was often consumed by work and grief. Megan had spent the summer helping tourists prepare for their Boundary Waters canoe area wilderness trips. She was good at her job, polite, knowledgeable, and often the first to volunteer for early morning shifts. Co-workers describe her as low-key but reliable. She rarely drank, never stirred drama, and liked spending her evenings reading alone near the campfire. But something changed in those final weeks of August. She started sleeping later, missing her usual sunrise sketch sessions by the dock. One co-worker, Lisa Hemsworth, recalled that Megan had begun carrying her journal everywhere, clutched close like a secret. Megan also started asking questions about old trails that were not marked on the current maps. Lisa remembered one evening vividly. Megan had asked if she'd ever heard of Iron Tooth Ridge, a name Lisa hadn't recognized and couldn't find on any topographic sheet. Megan had shrugged it off with a smile, but something about her demeanor unsettled Lisa. It was like she was following a thread only she could see, she later told investigators. Timeline: the last day, September 14th, 2002. Case file, BWCA 02-614L. According to the official incident timeline compiled by the St. Louis County Sheriff's Department, Megan's last confirmed sighting occurred at 6:43 a.m. Surveillance footage from a small convenience store on the edge of town showed her purchasing trail mix, 2 bottles of water, and a disposable camera. She wore a dark green fleece, hiking pants, and a canvas rucksack. Her hair was pulled back, and she appeared calm. She paid in cash. A receipt found later at the scene placed her at Trailhead 8, a lesser-known entry point into the Boundary Waters, by around 7:30 a.m. It was a foggy morning, unseasonably cool for mid-September, with mist rolling low across the tree line. Witnesses reported seeing a lone hiker matching Megan's description, walking eastbound on Forest Route 172, a gravel access road used by rangers and locals familiar with off-grid paths. Then nothing when she failed to return for her shift by Monday and hadn't contacted anyone. Her employer filed a missing persons report. Within 12 hours, the St. Louis County Search and Rescue Team was mobilized. Helicopters scanned the canopy. Dogs combed the trails. Over 80 volunteers traversed the ridges and bogs for a week. No trace was found. Not a boot print, not a candy wrapper, not a single page from the journal she never went without. Geography of Disappearance. The area Megan entered, if the reports are accurate, is known for its unforgiving terrain, dense pine, interlocking ridgelines, and kettle lakes that can vanish in the fog within minutes. Locals refer to the area between Trailhead 8 and the abandoned forest roads beyond as the Old Grid, a section of wilderness that had been reclassified in the early 90s after a series of budget cuts reduced maintenance and oversight. Several trails marked on old maps had been decommissioned after severe storm damage in 1994. Though no longer official paths, many remained walkable by experienced hikers. Though GPS service was spotty at best, cell towers didn't reach that deep. One ranger, Henry Colburn, now retired, reported something strange in his deposition. He recalled seeing an off-grid marker etched into an old birch tree a mile east of Trailhead 8, a carved triangle with a vertical slash. It wasn't a known park symbol. Some believed it was a leftover from old survey teams. Others thought it might be a signal left by local survivalists or illegal poachers. Colburn later told investigators he remembered seeing Megan weeks before her disappearance, standing at the ranger bulletin board, sketching something into her notebook. He said she'd asked him, politely but directly, about places where no one goes anymore. He assumed she was just another thrill seeker. Family and behavior patterns. Megan's family insisted she wasn't reckless. Her older sister, Megan Landry, described Megan as careful to a fault and deeply introspective. She didn't do things on impulse. If she went out there, she had a reason. That idea, that Megan had a reason, became a central focus of the investigation. The contents of her room at the Outfitter Lodge revealed few clues. Her sketchbook, presumed to have been with her at the time of disappearance, was missing. Her duffel bag, clothing, and toiletries were all untouched. A personal effects log dated September 16th noted that her password-protected laptop contained bookmarked articles on native trail lore, wilderness symbols, and cryptic Reddit threads archived through early 2002. One particular file recovered from her internet history intrigued investigators. A forum post titled, "Iron Tooth Ridge. Has anyone else found a rock with a slit?" User, Outrider99. Date, May 12, 2001. The post, now deleted, mentioned a narrow ridge east of Ely where an abandoned copper shaft allegedly intersected a natural cave system. The user claimed that in the 1970s, a local boy had fallen into the crevice and was never recovered. Megan had highlighted this post. She printed it. No one could say whether she believed the story or wanted to find the site for artistic reasons. But what remains chilling is how thoroughly she seemed to vanish into the idea like it had chosen her. Speculation and theories. Over the past 2 decades, multiple theories have surfaced. Some believe Megan fell victim to the landscape, slipped into a ravine, drowned in an unseen lake, or succumbed to exposure. Others suspect foul play, though no evidence of struggle or intrusion was ever found. A more obscure theory emerged in 2013 when amateur cryptographers studying Megan's journal entries, which the family had released partially to the public, claimed she was mapping patterns based on celestial alignments and logging coordinates that don't appear on modern maps. One YouTube channel suggested that Megan had discovered something, not necessarily paranormal, but concealed a shaft, a mine, a space beneath the earth lost to time and memory. But authorities remain firm in their stance. There is no evidence to support abduction, no known threat to Megan's life, and no apparent cause for her vanishing. Aftermath and continuing search. Case BWCA 02-614, L remains open. Every few years, a new tip surfaces. A hiker reports a flash of color in the underbrush, and a photographer captures what looks like initials carved into old bark. However, most leads dry up. In 2021, a private search team funded by a wilderness rescue foundation used ground-penetrating radar to scan a 10-mile radius beyond Trailhead 8. They found what appeared to be a collapsed borehole, possibly from an old logging site. Forensic teams investigated, but nothing human was recovered. Megan's mother, Janet Landry, passed away in 2017 after a long illness. In her final weeks, Allison said her mother would talk about Megan as if she'd simply stepped into another room. "She's out there," she whispered once. "She's just somewhere we can't quite reach." It's been over 2 decades since Megan Landry stepped into trees outside Ely, Minnesota, a girl with a journal, a dream, and a question no one else could understand. The trail ends abruptly, swallowed by earth and silence, but her story refuses to die like the wind through Iron Tooth Ridge. September 14th, 2002, began like any other crisp Northwoods morning, blanketed in early fog, with the scent of pine and loam thick in the air. But before noon, a sequence of events would unfold that continues to haunt the people of Ely. This is a timeline of Megan Landry's disappearance, minute by minute, detail by detail. A walk through the void where she vanished. 5:57 a.m., Ely Outfitters Lodge, South Kawashiwi Trail. Megan Landry was seen exiting her cabin at the back of the Ely Outfitters property, where seasonal employees live rent-free during the summer months. Her roommate, Tamara Briggs, noted that Megan had been unusually quiet the night before, spending hours leafing through her journal and reading by headlamp even after lights out. She looked like she was going to say something, Tamara later recalled, but didn't. She watched Megan sling a faded green canvas rucksack over her shoulder. It looked heavier than usual. Megan didn't say goodbye. 6:43 a.m., Northern Star General Store, Highway 1. Surveillance footage showed Megan entering the store alone. She purchased trail mix, water, a disposable Kodak camera, and a pack of waterproof matches. The clerk, Dennis Albrecht, said Megan seemed polite but distracted. She asked if the roads to Trailhead 8 were clear. I told her no one uses that one much anymore. It's more of an access road now. Megan nodded and paid in cash, $11.68. No ID, no debit card. What caught Albrecht's attention, and was later logged in his police statement, was what Megan said as she left. "If anyone asks, just say I look calm." He chuckled, thinking it was a joke. In hindsight, it was anything but. 7:12 a.m., Forest Route 172, en route to Trailhead 8. Evidence. Witness statement. File BWCA 02-30R. A retired game warden, Tommy Callan, was driving eastbound on Forest Route 172 when he passed a lone female hiker roughly 4 miles in. He described her as wearing olive green and khaki, walking steadily with her head down. She didn't acknowledge his vehicle. Callan noted her presence because few hikers use that path. It had been formally decommissioned in 1998 after storm damage washed out 2 culverts. Most current maps didn't even mark Trailhead 8 as accessible. This would be the last confirmed sighting of Megan Landry. 8:21 a.m., Trailhead 8 parking area. Evidence. Vehicle recovery report. File BWCA 02V51. Megan's 1998 Saturn SL1 was discovered at the gravel pull-off adjacent to Trailhead 8. Parked neatly locked. No signs of forced entry. Forest dirt caked along the tires suggested it had driven on back roads recently. Items recovered from the vehicle included a folded county map, Trailhead 8 circled in pencil, a trail permit form, partially filled out but unsigned, an empty thermos, her cell phone, powered off and tucked under the driver's seat. This last detail disturbed investigators. Megan was known to keep her phone with her at all times. However, given the region's lack of cell reception, it was plausible she left it behind intentionally. A single partial boot print, size 7 women's hiking boots, was located near the pass edge. It matched her known shoe size. Beyond that, the trail swallowed all signs. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., unconfirmed window. Between 9 a.m. and sundown, Megan Landry's actions are entirely unaccounted for. Investigators later scoured every possible access point, following known and suspected off-grid trails. Search teams logged no undergrowth breaks, torn fabric, or dropped items. Even the camera, purchased just hours earlier, was never recovered. 5:30 p.m., shift missed at Ely Outfitters. Megan was scheduled to work the evening shift at the rental kiosk from 5:30 p.m. to close. She was known for being punctual and dependable. When she didn't show up, her supervisor, Dean Vetra, called her cell straight to voicemail. By 6:15, her absence was reported to management. At 9:04 p.m., Dean filed a non-emergency missing person notification to the St. Louis County Sheriff's Department. September 15, 2002, initial search response. At 6:12 a.m. the next morning, Deputy Carla Jensen and Ranger Tom Breckman located Megan's car at Trailhead 8. Under state protocol, her disappearance was upgraded to priority missing adult, Category 1. Over the next 72 hours, 83 volunteers for cadaver dogs and 2 helicopters conducted coordinated sweeps. A 3-mile radius was grid using GPS-tagged mapping teams. Divers searched 3 nearby kettle ponds. No trace of Megan or her belongings was found. Her journal, thought to be with her, remained missing. Red herring 1, suspicious figure. 2 days into the search, A camper named Hal McCready reported seeing a bearded man in his 50s near Trailhead 8 around 8:30 a.m. when Megan vanished. He claimed the man was digging or clearing brush with a hand spade and seemed startled when spotted. Deputies questioned local recluses and off-grid residents. One man, Joseph Smoke Kellerman, a known survivalist, was interrogated and later cleared. No tools or fresh soil disturbances were found near the area Hal described. Kellerman denied being near the trail that day. "I haven't gone past that ridge since '95, he told them. "The place is bad air." The report was shelved under unverified lead. File BWCA 02 L113. Local and regional media picked up the story as the search entered its second week. Megan's photo, featuring long brown hair, soft eyes, and a closed-mouth smile, was splashed across flyers in news spots from Ely to Minneapolis. Her mother, Janet Landry, appeared on Care 11. "My daughter doesn't just vanish. Someone knows something. Please, if you saw her, even for a moment, say something." Online forums speculated wildly. Was it a rogue animal? A hermit in the woods? Did she fake her death? The sheriff's office stuck to the official language. No evidence of foul play. No evidence of voluntary disappearance. Case remains active and open. Red herring 2, the scrap of fabric. On September 24th, searchers found a torn strip of green fleece snagged on a bramble branch approximately 2.7 miles east of the trailhead. Initial tests suggested it could match the jacket Megan was last seen wearing. Excitement swelled, but the fleece was faded, degraded, and lacked distinctive stitching. Lab results for DNA were inconclusive. No blood or fibers matching Megan's known garments were recovered elsewhere along the same trail. Lead status, indeterminate. No chain of confirmation. Criticism began surfacing after 10 days with no results. Locals questioned why Trailhead 8 wasn't better monitored and its danger downplayed. An internal report later revealed that budget constraints had reduced active ranger patrols in that quadrant by 60% since 2000. One investigator admitted anonymously, "We were blind out there. That whole section of forest is more ghost than grid." Still, authorities pursued every tangible lead. FBI involvement was considered but ultimately deferred. There was no federal crime scene to justify jurisdiction. The Landry family relocated temporarily to Ely. Megan's sister Allison coordinated public search drives, managed a website cataloging sightings and rumors, and submitted trail footage. The emotional toll was devastating. Her mother's health declined rapidly. Her sister stopped attending college. A notable entry in Allison's journal, later published by the Duluth Herald, read, "We are stuck in a story with no middle. Just a before and then a void. No after." Among the locals, theories began to sprout like weeds in the silence. Some believed Megan stumbled across something she wasn't meant to, an old smuggler's route, a buried shaft, or worse. Several old-timers once claimed a ridge path that split from Trailhead 8 and curved northeast, a forgotten miner's route marked with primitive carvings. The DNR has no record of such a trail, but some locals insist it exists. One even called it the Iron Tooth. Sheriff notes confirm Megan had circled a section of land adjacent to old mining rights territory, which has been in use since the 1930s. No maps officially recognize any trail there, but people talk. The last credible tip came in October 2002. A retired geologist found a scrap of paper lodged in the crevice of a stone outcrop near his cabin, 15 miles from the original search area. It read, "Found it. Not what I expected. Marked tree. Will follow north." It was signed MEL in handwriting that forensic analysts confirmed bore strong similarities to Megan's known penmanship. The note was damaged by weather and could not be conclusively dated. Some stories end in answers, others end in recovery. But then there are the rarest kind, the stories that simply stop, suspended between fact and fear. One such story is Megan Landry's disappearance in the boundary waters of northern Minnesota. 2 decades later, we still don't know what happened after she stepped onto Trailhead 8, but we do have theories. Plausible, terrifying, and deeply unsettling possibilities. Each one has supporters. Each one leaves us with questions. Theory 1, the voluntary vanishing. One of the earliest and most divisive theories is that Megan Landry walked into the woods with the intent of never returning. Officially, this theory has never been ruled out, though her family has consistently rejected it. Withdrawal in the weeks prior. Megan's roommate, Tamara, described a marked shift in behavior leading up to the disappearance. She was quieter, less reactive. She stared into the distance like she was listening to something that wasn't there. Megan reportedly declined multiple social invites, even turning down a planned canoe trip with co-workers just days before she vanished. Journal notes summarized, not found. Tamara mentioned seeing Megan writing frequently in a leather-bound journal that has never been recovered. One excerpt she recalls was dated September 11th. "Everything is noise. I need silence. Real silence, not the kind that echoes." Intentional destination. Megan chose Trailhead 8, which was largely unmaintained and unofficial by 2002. The map found in her vehicle circled that trail, suggesting planning. Some interpret this as symbolic finality, going somewhere no one else would think to look. No signs of struggle or distress. The car was undamaged, with no blood, broken branches, or scattered gear. It all paints a picture of someone who wasn't taken, but left on their own terms. No history of mental illness or suicidal ideation. Megan's friends and family all describe her as grounded, a naturalist, thoughtful, not reckless. She left her phone and ID. The fact that she didn't bring her phone or wallet suggests that she was planning a brief outing, not an escape or a disappearance. No farewell. Most individuals who choose to vanish voluntarily leave behind some form of closure, a note, a message, a breadcrumb trail. But Megan left nothing. Some theorists propose a hybrid interpretation. Megan didn't intend to vanish forever, but to spend a night or two alone, an off-grid retreat that went wrong. Still, if this was a calculated departure, the question remains, where did she go? And why has a single trace surfaced in over 20 years? Theory 2, abduction in the wilderness. The second dominant theory posits that Megan encountered someone or something unexpected in the woods and was forcibly taken or killed. The witness sighting, the bearded man, the report from Hal McCready describing a disheveled older man with a hand spade near Trailhead 8 has never been conclusively debunked. Despite exhaustive searches, that man was never identified. Joseph Smoke Kellerman, the local off-grid recluse, briefly suspected, denied any presence in the area and passed a polygraph. Still, the man Hal described wasn't Kellerman. He was older and leaner, but what Hal said was a twitchy kind of energy. The details about the spade have haunted investigators. "People don't carry spades into trailheads unless they're digging," said retired Deputy Carla Jensen. "And if they're digging, you gotta ask why." Old trails in isolation. Trailhead 8 isn't just remote. It's practically forgotten, with its decommissioned status and lack of regular patrols. It's a perfect place for someone to operate undetected. A vehicle could enter the area from the east or via the old logging roads and never be noticed. The torn fleece and fabric strip, though inconclusive. The fabric caught on a bramble 2.7 miles east of the trailhead showed signs of human wear and exposure. It may have been a remnant of Megan's clothing, or it could have been planted to mislead search teams. Unsolved cases nearby. In 1996, 24-year-old Nicole Hargrave disappeared from the Birch Lake perimeter just 30 miles south. In 1989, hiker Timothy Cross was found dead from unknown trauma in a shelter near Rainy Lake. Neither case was solved. Locals have long whispered about a potential serial predator operating in the region's dense forests, targeting isolated trails and campsites. No struggle, no scream, no blood. Despite thorough searches, no physical evidence of confrontation has ever been recovered. If Megan was attacked, it was done with almost surgical precision. Cadaver dogs found nothing. Trained search dogs scoured the area for over a week, finding no scent trail past the trailhead. If she were taken, she may have been removed from the area entirely, perhaps in a vehicle or via a concealed path. Even those skeptical of foul play concede that it's possible to vanish in those woods without a trace. But the absence of signs doesn't always mean a lack of action. Theory 3, Nature, madness, or something else. The third theory walks a line between the explicable and the arcane. Megan may have wandered off trail, accidentally or purposefully, and succumbed to the elements. But some believe something deeper happened out there, something unnatural. This theory isn't about ghosts or monsters. It's about disorientation, instinct, and how the forest tricks the mind. The Iron Tooth Ridge and the marked tree note, the note allegedly found by a retired geologist, signed Emiel and mentioning a marked tree and following north, has become the centerpiece of this theory. The note reads, "Found it, not what I expected. Marked tree, will follow north." What did she find? And what was she following? In a statement, the geologist said he had never seen a tree marked the way the note described. Deep triangular slashes in sets of 3, burned into bark with what looked like charcoal. Multiple searchers have since reported similar marks in the dense brush northeast of the trailhead, though no consistent pattern has emerged. The Boundary Water's long history of vanishings, dozens of disappearances, dating back to the 1950s, have been reported in this area, many without resolution. Theories about caves, old mines, sudden fog banks, and magnetic anomalies have emerged. Indigenous Ojibwe folklore references forest areas known as Nitawijwanag, the places of not returning. While it's tempting to romanticize these stories, several elders have confirmed that specific paths were once deliberately avoided. "There are places where the land forgets you," said one elder during a 2004 interview, "and you forget yourself." The journal and mental fragmentation. Tomorrow's mention of Megan's journal entries, reflections on silence, noise, and needing escape, suggest the possibility of a mental health crisis. But some theorists believe Megan was drawn to something. She was seeking not solitude but contact. The camera Megan purchased that morning has never been found. What did she intend to photograph? Was she documenting something she had already seen? Lack of evidence of confusion or panic. Megan wasn't known to be erratic or imaginative. She was intelligent, capable, and familiar with solo hiking. Her disappearance doesn't read as an accident. It reads as deliberate. The region has been extensively searched. If she had gotten lost, some sign would have eventually surfaced. Clothing, bones, belongings, but none ever did. Still, the idea persists that she followed something into the trees. A sound, a trail, a thought, and that it led her somewhere that maps don't go. As time drifts from that cold September morning, Megan's case weighs on Ely like fog on the lake. People still talk about her at the diner. Her photo still hangs on the corkboard near the post office. Hikers still tell stories by firelight of a young woman who walked into the woods and never came out. Her family held a memorial service in 2007. A small wooden plaque marks the edge of Trailhead 8, with her name carved above a single word, "Still searching." What happened to Megan Landry in the Boundary Waters on September 14th, 2002? Was it a calculated escape into obscurity? She could never have anticipated a sudden encounter with someone or something, or did the woods simply take her, as they had taken others? We may never know. But one thing is sure, Megan didn't just disappear. She became a question, a silence, a shadow at the edge of every campfire. What do you think happened to Megan Landry? Was it a tragic accident or something far more sinister? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel for more content relating to horrors and missing cases.